Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I'm back for another video discussing Telltale Games. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing their future and what was revealed in that Game Informer article that we've gone through now in several videos. So, this is going to be encompassing on a lot of things regarding the Telltale. Future games, what they're currently working on, release patterns, how they'll be releasing their games, how many episodes will be in their games still. The crunch. The old Telltale was synonymous with crunch. How are they combating that? Old games potentially returning. Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, Minecraft, Game of Thrones. A lot of possibilities. Games such as Batman that are already still in their control. Could we see a potential third season after their next two games? And a lot of other things we're going to be discussing. So, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like. Subscribe if you're new. Join about the near 50% of people that are subscribed by hitting that subscribe button. And be sure to hit that notification bell. Join about the near 100,000 people that have all notifications on for the channel. So there's a lot of details I'm going to be discussing here in regards to Telltale. Let me know, what would you like to see from Telltale in the future? There's a lot of open doors, and I'm going to say this in the very beginning of the video. Please support Telltale. If you want to see old games return or see bigger IPs, or just see Telltale up and running, buy their games, support them on social media as much as you can. That'd be my recommendation. So, we're going to get straight into the video. Hope you guys do enjoy. So, at the end of 2021, Telltale Games said, we're back. And what they're working on right now. So we know they're working on two games currently. The Wolf Among Us 2, which will be coming first. That has been confirmed numerous times. I still have people asking me that question. The Wolf Among Us 2 is releasing first. My guess, based on current projections, we're going to make a release date prediction video soon, but I'm going to guess late 2022, early 2023. Considering the game is set in winter, I would not be surprised if it doesn't release at that point. Now, we know Batman as well, they released the Shadows Edition in 2020. So we know, in all likeliness, when the Expanse, a Telltale Series, releases after The Wolf Among Us 2, we're likely going to be getting a Batman Season 3. That is very likely going to be the next game. Now, as for old IPs returning, that has been reiterated numerous times that it's unlikely as hell that it'll happen right now. I know a lot of my fans, a lot, want The Walking Dead back. I hear Game of Thrones people, Tales from the Borderlands people, Minecraft people. Trust me, I'm reading the comments. It is very unlikely that Game of Thrones or Tales from the Borderlands returns. They're not as big properties in terms of their popularity for Telltale fans. The Walking Dead right now, and I would say Minecraft, are probably your more likely ones. But Minecraft is with Mojang, and that's all dependent on if Mojang wants the interest there. Skybound owns The Walking Dead, and they've been releasing the comic books and books. So I don't know if Skybound's going to have any interest in doing a video game or partnering up with Telltale to do it again. So it's going to be up to the fans, in my opinion. It's going to be up to how much we support new Telltale. And at the end of the day, then it's going to come down to Skybound and Telltale reinitiating the partnership, Mojang and Telltale, HBO and Telltale with Game of Thrones, or Gearbox and Telltale for Tales from the Borderlands. All I'm going to say never. It is very unlikely that it ever happens in the next coming years, but we've seen crazier things happen with Telltale. So don't be surprised if something happens in a couple years with an old IP that Telltale doesn't have the rights to returning. It's very likely. That's what Telltale's been doing, restoring the catalog of games. And to bring back one of their more popular ones would be pretty cool. So you see right here, stabilizing the Telltale catalog was priority one. With many of its original titles pulled from storefronts, the new Telltale brought them back. Next step was developing a game, and that's where we see The Wolf Among Us 2 right now happening, which again got revealed at the 2019 Game Awards. Right now is being worked on, likely going to be releasing late next year, early 2023. Then you got The Expanse, which is in early development, so we're probably going to get that game sometime middle to late 2023 in my opinion. And I guarantee by the time Wolf 2 ends, we're already going to probably start getting news on Batman Season 3, or maybe some initial words on it, I would think. Once Wolf Among Us 2 is out and done, I think that's when we might start hearing things about Batman 3. And now we know New Telltale, is comprised up of nearly 50% of former Telltale employees. So one of the biggest issues Telltale had when they closed was how swiftly they did. There were a lot of employees that were not given severance, and a lot of other basic features that you would get usually when something like this would happen. It came out of nowhere. Basically, Telltale's partners pulled out, and that was it. Goodbye. End of the company. Bankruptcy. Bingo. Dead. You know, it was sad. And now seeing that Telltale is making an effort now, it looks like, to get a lot of those old people back. The core of Telltale Games. You don't want to, considering this is a rebirth, you don't want to lose those people that made Telltale Telltale. It's the people. It's not just the name. It's the people that really changed storytelling and gaming. And seeing about near 50% of them now back is pretty awesome, because we know a lot of them are now, the ones that didn't get hired back, are across the gaming landscape with different companies. And we know ADHOC, who's partnered with Telltale on The Wolf Among Us 2, is comprised of old Telltale employees as well. And they said, there's plenty that will change, but it's always in service to the original vision for that project. As much as we love Season 1, we remember all the pieces that fell short or were not pursued due to a variety of technical or creative constraints. So we know old Telltale had a lot of issues, and it was pretty obvious from the head up to the bottom. They were rushed. Churn and burn. I talked about this in videos months, years ago, that Telltale had a culture of overworking. We got to get 3 episodes out of 3 different games in a span of a month. I remember one particular instance where Walking Dead New Frontier had an episode 1 and 2 drop the same exact day. And then I think a week later, they had Guardians of the Galaxy release an episode as well. It was so weird. It was so messed up. It's like they weren't even putting much effort in their games anymore, because they really couldn't, because they were like, oh, we got to get this Guardians episode out. We got to get this, it was very rushed. You could tell. And then, Zach Litton had nearly 8 years of Telltale under his belt. He started as a technical director at the former iteration of the studio before becoming Telltale's first vice president of engineering. After Telltale was purchased, Ollie reached out to Litton to chat, and it wasn't long before Litton was back, this time as CTO. Litton quickly got to work helping the new Telltale discover and reconfigure its pipeline, something he says is critical to studio success. I was like, hey, what's our pipeline going to be? And it's not just the engine, but the pipeline is everything, Litton said. It's how the writers are going to write. It's how the engine's going to perform. It's how you handle editing and updates. It's everything, really. In the past, Telltale developed games using its own proprietary engine, which was the Telltale tool. And while that worked well in some respects at the new Telltale, the decision was made to also utilize Epic's Unreal Engine, using Unreal as the foundation. Yes, so if you aren't aware, I've said this in numerous videos as well, that Telltale is starting up on a new engine, the Unreal. And it's going to be very exciting to see it. We saw the Expanse trailer, which was kind of our first look at that new engine in action. So it looked pretty good, in my opinion. So with this new engine, Telltale is easier to make Telltale games now, which they say, and this ultimately leads to a smoother pipeline, which Otley Litton believes will, remove that crunch that plagued the old Telltale and caused a lot of issues with their games. A lot of things didn't get out as clean as we would have liked them to at old Telltale because of time, Litton said. You can have a wonderful engine with lots of capabilities to provide really smooth content, but if you don't have the time to utilize these tools to the maximum extent, you're not going to get the product that you want out. Add in Telltale's old episodic nature to those difficulties, where the studio immediately shifted to working on the next episode after pushing the one before it went live, and the work begins to pile up. That's when crunch can occur, but Lynn and Otley said they are working hard to ensure the studio has the right tools in place to avoid that. What I really do like about Jamie Otley is this thing. He said, when you create a staff that's almost 50% of former Telltale employees, it doesn't happen by just telling people who are messily laid off that the studio's back. It happens by explaining why Telltale needed to come back and how the new company is going to avoid its former fate. Beyond a better engine, Telltale's adopted a distributed development model to smooth things out and hopefully avoid crunch. Instead of rounding up 400 employees in a studio located in an expensive city like San Francisco, new Telltale is utilizing the work of developers around the world. So Telltale is basically outsourcing a lot of their work around the world, and they're not just gathering a bunch of people in an expensive city like San Francisco. 300 plus employees. Ali says Telltale's stance on crunch extends to outsourced work as well, saying that the studio employs the same planning and iteration workflow for all our projects, and endeavor to partner with companies who share our view that a healthy work-life balance is important. If one thing is clear, Otley isn't concerned with saturating the market with Telltale games. He just wants people to be excited about a game with the Telltale name behind it. Frickin' men, brother. This is what we need to hear. This excites me. This gives me faith that this Telltale will be different than the old one. And the old one was still good in a lot of cases. It's just, a lot of bad things were happening, unfortunately. Even if those games don't come out as often as they used to, that starts with the script and finding the right people. And you see at the bottom there, Otley says players can expect Telltale games to be essentially done when the first episode is released. This means players won't have to wait months to see what happens next in the story. Telltale will announce its release schedule ahead of time, and fans will only have to wait a couple weeks between episodes. As I said in my last video, this is just like The Walking Dead. What will happen is that they will finish the game completely, and they will say, hey, episode 1 is going to drop this date. Episode 2 is going to drop this date. Episode 3 is going to drop this date. Episode 4 is going to drop this date. Episode 5 is going to drop this date. And likely only be 2 to 3 weeks between episodes. So that means this is very similar to how Telltale had with the final season. Except, they weren't really all done with the final season. They still had some, little work in it. But this time, the whole game will be done before the first episode is released. So no changes will need to be made. They will not need to be much of crunch and all this. It's all planned out, which I love to see, which means the potential is very high for how good these could be. Now, for the Expanse stuff, Telltale is very excited. Now, this might mean Batman 3 might come even sooner than I expected. Telltale views it as a co-development deal with Deck 9 doing a lot of the heavy lifting using Telltale's engine and tools. The Telltale story told using Deck 9's voice. Interesting hearing that. For now, the Expanse joins Wolf 2 in the we'll share more when we're ready chamber, which in a way speaks to this new Telltale and says it's important to this new iteration of the studio to place the tracks before the train, and it seems that's exactly what Telltale is doing. If one thing is clear, the people we spoke to at Telltale are excited about what's to come, which Otley says will feature new territory for Telltale while respecting the name's legacy. The legacy is why we're doing this, Otley says. The journey will continue. We will not fall into the trap of replicating what was there. Wolf 2 will be the closest thing to what we do to what people are familiar with Telltale, and that's the reason we're doing the Expanse with Deck 9. It's a totally different voice, completely different aesthetic and pacing, and we're going to continue to work with internal and external teams, and we're going to match creative leadership to the IPs we pick and give people the opportunity to tell interesting and compelling stories. That's really the best part of what we're doing, right? We get to tell these stories and take risks and do new things and surprise people. It's all kind of fan service. Telltale tells stories in universes we all love. That fan service is part of our brand. So maybe, like I said, an old IP inevitably down the line, guys. I love hearing what they had to say in this article, though. Now, as for platforms, this is back from 2020 article. They say The Wolf Among Us 2 is likely going to be an Epic Games Store exclusive for PC and won't be on consoles. That hasn't been confirmed yet. When we get official word on the platforms, I'll let you guys know, but yes, it's not coming to mobile. I know, I get a million comments. I want to make this very clear. The game is not coming to mobile, The Wolf Among Us 2 or The Expanse. It's way too advanced for mobile platforms, guys. I'm sorry. The days of Telltale games being on mobile are pretty much long and gone. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. We'll have another Telltale update video sometime early next year. Remember, we are getting Wolf Among Us 2 news early 2022. And we might get some Expanse stuff later in the year as well. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.